She was not raised to be obedient. From the very beginning, Whitney Stone belonged to herself. In a world that demanded silence and submission from young women, she laughed too freely, spoke too honestly, and dreamed far too boldly. Her beauty was undeniable, but it was her spirit that unsettled those around her. She rode horses faster than was considered proper. She argued when she was expected to agree, and she refused to believe that her future should be decided by anyone but herself. England watched her with fascination and with judgment. Whispers followed her through ballrooms and gardens alike. Some called her reckless. Others called her dangerous. But none could deny that Whitney Stone was unforgettable. What she did not yet know was that her freedom was about to collide with a man who believed he could command anything, even her heart. He did not arrive quietly. Clayton Westmoreland, the Duke of Clayton, entered English society the way he did everything else, with certainty. Power followed him like a shadow. Men respected him. Women watched him carefully. He was not known for kindness nor for patience. He was known for control. When Clayton first heard Whitney Stone's name, it was spoken with disapproval. Too spirited, too outspoken, too difficult. He listened without comment. A woman like that, he believed, required guidance, not admiration. He did not seek her out. He did not wonder if she would accept him. In his world, people adjusted, and soon she would too. They met not by design, but by inevitability. Whitney felt his presence before she saw him, a sudden shift in the room, a stillness she could not explain. When she looked up, her breath caught. He stood too close, too composed, his gaze steady and unyielding. Clayton Westmoreland did not smile. He studied her as one might study a challenge, with calm certainty. Whitney met his gaze without lowering her eyes. She had never learned how to retreat. "You are not what I expected," he said coolly. "Nor are you," she replied, her voice steady despite the tension. Something sharp passed between them. Curiosity, irritation, interest. He was accustomed to obedience. She had built her life on defiance. And in that single exchange, both understood one thing clearly. This meeting would not be easily forgotten. Their second encounter was colder than the first. There was no curiosity now, only challenge. Clayton spoke with calm authority, as though resistance were a flaw to be corrected. Whitney listened, her expression composed, her eyes sharp. He questioned her choices, her independence, her refusal to conform. She did not raise her voice. She did not retreat. Instead, she answered with honesty and defiance. Clayton wasn't used to being contradicted. The tension between them thickened with every exchanged word. Polite smiles masked irritation. Civil tones carried sharpened meaning. This was no longer attraction. It was a contest, and neither intended to lose. Whitney had always believed that strength was enough, that standing her ground would protect her. She was wrong. When the consequences came, they came quietly, wrapped in politeness and expectation. Her reputation became a subject of whispered concern. Every smile felt rehearsed. Every conversation carried an unspoken judgment. Clayton did not raise his voice. He did not threaten. His disappointment was colder than anger. For the first time, Whitney felt uncertainty creep beneath her confidence. She questioned herself, not because she doubted her worth, but because the cost of defiance was heavier than she had imagined. Pride no longer felt like armor. It felt like isolation. And in that silence, she understood something painful and new. Strength did not mean invulnerability. Distance arrived without ceremony. There was no final argument, no dramatic farewell, only absence. Whitney found herself alone more often than before. Rooms felt larger, voices quieter. The confidence she once wore so easily now required effort. She replayed conversations in her mind, searching for the moment where everything shifted. She wondered whether silence was punishment or protection, Clayton, too, felt the weight of separation. He told himself it was necessary. That order had been restored. And yet, the absence unsettled him in ways defiance never had. Pride kept them apart. Memory kept them connected. And somewhere between the two, something fragile began to change. That night, Whitney could not sleep. The silence of the room only made her thoughts louder. No matter how hard she tried, his face returned to her mind, proud, restrained, and painfully familiar. For the first time, she allowed herself to admit what she had long been afraid to name. The ache in her chest was not born of anger, but of loss. She realized then that her pride had protected her and imprisoned her at the same time. As dawn slowly broke, fear began to loosen its hold on her heart. In its place came resolve, quiet, steady, and unmistakable. And somewhere else, he too lay awake, unsettled by the same absence. Distance still separated them, but emotion knew no such boundary. That night changed them both. And now, silence was no longer an option. Morning light filled the room as Whitney made her decision. There were no more arguments left to hold her back. She understood now that love demanded courage, not silence. Every step she took forward felt heavy, yet necessary. Memories followed her. Misunderstandings, pride, words left unsaid. But beneath them all lived something stronger than resentment. When she finally saw him, time seemed to pause. He turned, surprised, as if he had sensed her presence before she spoke. For a moment, neither of them moved. So much pain, longing, and truth stood between them. His voice was calm, but his eyes betrayed everything he had tried to hide. Whitney felt her heart steady as she met his gaze. There was no need for rehearsed words anymore. What mattered had survived every mistake they had made. In that quiet space, pride gave way to honesty. Forgiveness came not as weakness, but as strength. They stood closer now, no longer divided by fear. And in that moment, love finally found its voice. Time moved quietly, as if honoring what had finally been said. Whitney and Clayton no longer measured each other with pride or caution. Every shared glance carried the weight of lessons learned and patience earned. They spoke less, but their silence was fuller, richer, more honest than words had ever been. Morning light no longer signaled uncertainty, but the promise of possibility. Old misunderstandings faded, leaving only memory and growth. Their hearts had weathered storm and distance, and in that endurance, they found clarity. Sometimes love demands restraint. Sometimes it demands courage. They understood both, and it shaped the path they would walk together. Outside, life went on, but inside, a quiet harmony settled over them. Every choice, every hesitation, had led them to this simple truth. Love is strongest where it has been tested, and in that truth they found peace.